Hi everyone, Lisa Gornall, spiritual medium, healer, and coach. This is going to be live video 2 today. I just had a good question and I wanted to come back on and answer it really quick so she wasn't waiting till next week. So if you do have any questions, feel free to pop them below because there is a delay between Facebook and what I'm seeing. So how do you overcome grief? I do want to say that overcoming grief is different for everyone. And I do want to say, before I even begin, that there are some people that just experience a lot of close losses in their life, and then there are some people who, don't experience any loss until they're in their 40s, and they don't even know how to cope with it when it happens because they haven't had any. So there's a huge spectrum of grief. And just as there's a different way to deal with it for every person, there's different energy strategies that you have to use for every person. So the number one thing that I would have you do would be to communicate with the spirit. That's what helps me. That's what's always helped me when people have crossed. I usually know when somebody's crossing before they cross because I see them. So I know that it's coming. So it's not a huge surprise when I find out that they've crossed. I guess that's the spiritual medium in me. But I'm never surprised when I hear that somebody has crossed. And I know that the person who asked this question has had a lot of close losses to her. And it's been recent that there's been a whole bunch of very close losses. And so one thing that helps me, and I'm going to share this with you as well, is to know that we all have our path and we all have our time, and we all make agreements with people that, you know what, we're going to be together this long in this life, we're going to have this many years together, we're going to do these experiences together, you're going to help me with this, I'm going to help you with that. That's what we come into this life to do together. And so when somebody crosses over, then I know that it was their time, that was their choice. Whether it was an accident, whether it was sudden, whether it was a long illness, at some level, we choose that path for ourselves because we are conscious living beings, right? We're creating everything in our life, and that includes the time, the location, and the whereabouts of our death. Now, that does not make it easy for the people that are here and are now feeling the loss. But this is what I like to tell people. Whenever somebody crosses over, the spirits are free. All of this energetic baggage that they were holding on to, they're instantly free. And they're just beams of light, and they just feel so peaceful. And then they come and they see us, right? Because they can pop in and see you at your home, or see you at your work, or see you driving in the car, or wherever you may be. And at first, when they first cross over, they're so confused at how sad you are. Because they're not sad. They feel utter love and peace. So, I don't know how many of you have felt this, but when you're doing like a good meditation or energy work and you just feel completely peace and blissful, that's how they feel. I hate to go to funerals. When I have to go to a funeral, I hate it. It's the worst energetic thing, because I feel like we've created this place where we're all mourning, and I was raised Catholic, and there's all this black clothes, and I understand the spiritual ritual behind it. But the ceremony is just, everybody's always sad and crying, and it's hard. And the spirit is always confused. And if I am at a funeral, I usually get a message for the people at the funeral, because that's just how it works as a spiritual medium. And if the person is open to hearing the message, I will share the message with them. And of course, that message just makes the person cry even more. And, then we're in that situation. So there's a few things that I want you to think about when you're dealing with a loss that is devastating to you, because there are losses and then there are devastating losses, and I feel like she's asking me more about devastating losses because that's what she's been experiencing. So for the devastating loss, you need to remember, number one, that it was their time to go, because if it wasn't, they would still be here, right? So it was their time to go. At some level, it was their choice to go, and as hard as that is on us, we have to let them go energetically. We have to let them have that space, because energetically, that's what they wanted. That was their path, right? Number two, we need to check in with them as often as we feel like we should in the beginning. Now, we don't want to ever hold them on, and I've done videos on this before. We don't ever want to hold a spirit into this life. That's how, as a child, I had a spirit attached to my dresser because people had begged her to stay, and she ended up getting attached to this dresser that my grandmother gave me. And then she hated my cat, and she was like terrorizing my cat, and there was all this stuff going. And this woman was stuck here. The people that had begged her to stay weren't even here anymore. They left and she didn't see the light and she got stuck here. So you want to make sure that you're never pulling on spirits to be like, oh, I need you, don't leave me, I have to have you. You cannot do that. It's energetically bad for you and for them. But what you can do is you can send them light. You can put yourself in light. Always, whenever you're going to talk with a spirit, you want to put yourself in white light, because there are negative energies. They're an illusion, but they do exist. And they will try to come in. They need your energy. You don't need them. And they will try to pretend to be somebody that they're not. So you always want to make sure when you're communicating with the spirit that you put yourself in the white light that I'm always talking about. Once you put yourself in the white light, then just imagine that person. So if it's your mom, it's your brother, it's your friend, it's whoever, just imagine them and let them come. And you guys, they come. So when people say, oh, they're not showing up or they're not present, I've never had that experience. They always come and they always have something to say. Usually their message is, I'm happy, I am peace. And they usually try to help you with whatever you're struggling with or holding on to, because remember what I said earlier, they don't have that anymore. They're in a good place. They are just completely feeling light and love. And so it causes confusion, but the longer that they're gone, so, you know, a lot of people passed last month. So those people are still adjusting to, I don't understand why they're so sad. I just don't get it. Like, I'm so happy, I don't get it. Because they so quickly detach from these human emotions and experiences that we have, and they see things in such a different way, and energetically they realize that this is just one experience of millions that they're living in. And so they can just pop in and pop out, and you know, they'll try to come and they'll try to show you things, and that's all good and dandy, but at the end of the day, just remember that you can talk to them whenever you want. I do want to say that when you try to pull on a spirit, or you say, it kind of reminds me of the movie Ghost. Like if you're trying to like get symbolism, right? If you're trying to say, show me your presence. Like, you know, I want to see you. And every time I see a penny, I'm going to think of you. Or every time I see a feather, I'm going to think of you. Or whenever you do things like that, that requires a little bit more energy. And what I'm teaching you is just to communicate with them. And when you're communicating with them, you can say whatever you want to them. And they're going to respond. And the first few times you do it, it's going to seem awkward and weird. And you're going to think, I'm just making this up. How is this happening? But that's all your mind, because your mind doesn't understand it, because they are going to come through your mind. They're going to come through your ears. They're going to come through your eyes. They're going to come through some part of those 5 senses that you've always had. Some people smell them. You're going to have it come through here, and to filter that, it's going to go through your mind. And your mind doesn't understand the energy work, right? Because it organizes and categorizes. And so you just want to trust and feel and flow. And usually people will say that they see a light, they feel them, and they just feel peaceful and calm. So for me, whenever I've had somebody close to me pass, I talk to them immediately. That's the first thing I do. You know, me as a human, I'm sorry that you're going. These aren't things that I would say because I see things differently. I would just say, you know, I'm going to miss you, but I'm happy for you. I see that you're at peace, and I see that you're happy. And of course, then to me, they say, well, can you spread that message to everybody else? I don't want to. I don't want to break all that stuff with the grieving, right? But remember that the spirit is in a good place. They chose that path because they're not here anymore. That was their choice. That was their lesson. That was their experience. You chose to be in this experience with them. So you're getting that extra bonus piece of that experience because that's what you guys chose together. And you can communicate with them whenever you would like. So those are my 3 tips to help you feel better about a devastating loss. And of course, there's letting go. So I guess letting go would be number 4. Letting go, just really pulling out that emotion and that sadness, that human emotion that we have when we're still here and they're gone. Right? Because you are still here and you still have people to live for, and you're not done because you're still here. And the death can make or break you, especially when you've had a series of them. And so it's up to you to decide, what am I going to do from this experience? What am I supposed to do because of these experiences? What am I learning? Is there something more I should be doing? Am I on my path? Usually when things like that are happening and you're getting a whole bunch of jolts like that in your life, it's a good time to reassess your life path. Where are you at? What are you doing? How are your finances? How are your relationships? How is your health? It's a good time to just reassess and reevaluate and get back on your path. Okay? Does anybody have any questions or thoughts on this or the video that I just finished? Hi Rachel, thanks for joining. So Rachel, the first video that I did was the questions that I received. It was on being the empath and anxiety. And then as I was getting off, I got this, I saw this post for overcoming devastational loss. So that's what this video is about. So the other video has all those other pieces for you. Okay. So again, if you guys have any questions, drop them below and I will get back to you. Was that helpful, Dawn? Did that answer all of your questions? I want to make sure that I got all your questions before I got off. So I saw the thank you in the heart, so you're welcome. Just let me know if there's anything else before I go. Hi, April. You're welcome, Rachel. All right, so that's the tips I would work on for grieving. So it was their path. You can communicate with them. You're going to let go. And you're going to reassess your path. Okay? Have a great weekend, everyone. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye.